Noah lived a peaceful life on the quiet farming colony of Verdantia. Far away from the noise of the cities, the planet was a place of calm and beauty. Vast fields stretched out before him, filled with tall crops that swayed gently in the breeze. The skies above were always bright, and the sun painted the land in warm golden hues each day. It was the kind of place where life moved at a slow, steady pace, where time seemed to stretch endlessly, allowing for moments of true peace. Noah was a farmer by trade. Every morning, he woke up early, the smell of fresh earth filling the air as he worked in the fields. His hands were strong from years of tilling the soil, and his clothes were always worn, stained with the marks of his hard work. He didn't mind. The work kept him grounded, and the quiet, repetitive tasks brought him a sense of fulfillment. He would tend to his animals, making sure they were well cared for, and often spend long hours walking through the fields, watching the crops grow under the gentle warmth of the sun. His life, though simple, was satisfying. There was no rush, no overwhelming pressure to be somewhere or do something. The colony was small, and the people who lived there were kind and friendly. They shared meals together, helped one another with tasks, and always made time for a chat. Noah didn't have any family, but he wasn't lonely. He had neighbors who felt like family, and that was enough for him. His days were filled with small joys, like watching the stars at night or sharing stories over the dinner table with his friends. But life, as it often does, was about to change. One evening, as Noah was finishing his chores for the day, he received a message that would alter the course of his quiet existence. It was a letter from the Intergalactic Peace Council, an organization he had only heard of in passing, but never imagined he would be in contact with. The message was brief, yet it held great importance. It was an invitation to participate in a new program designed to promote peace and unity across the galaxy. The program, the letter explained, encouraged marriages between humans and aliens in an effort to foster trust and understanding between species. The idea was simple. By forming bonds through marriage, the hope was that barriers between different races would break down, leading to greater harmony. Noah read the letter twice, trying to wrap his head around it. He had heard of such programs before, stories of people from far-off planets meeting alien beings and starting families together, but he never thought it would be something he would be a part of. It all seemed so strange to him. The letter explained that the match would be made based on compatibility, and that neither the human nor the alien would meet or even speak before the wedding day. The council believed that by meeting only on the wedding day, there would be no preconceived ideas or biases about what the other looked like. It was meant to be a fresh, honest start. The more Noah thought about it, the more the idea intrigued him. He had always been fascinated by the idea of alien cultures, their strange and beautiful worlds, and the beings who lived on them. Could he really marry one of them? What would it be like? Would he be able to connect with this stranger from another world? His curiosity grew stronger the more he pondered the possibilities. This could be an opportunity to step out of the quiet life he had known for so long, to experience something new, something extraordinary. But there was still hesitation. Noah wasn't sure if he was ready for such a big change. He had spent his entire life in the simplicity of Verdantia, where things were predictable and safe. The idea of marrying an alien, someone he had never met, someone from a completely different world, was overwhelming. What if it didn't work out? What if he made a mistake? But despite these doubts, something inside him urged him to take the leap. He had always wondered what the universe held beyond his small colony. Perhaps this was his chance to find out. After much thought, Noah made his decision. He would join the program. There was nothing holding him back. If this was fate calling him to step out of his comfort zone, then he would answer. He signed the document and sent it back to the council, feeling a mixture of excitement and nervousness as he did. Life on Verdantia would go on as usual for now, but Noah knew that everything was about to change. The news spread quickly throughout the colony. Some people were excited about the idea of a human marrying an alien, while others were skeptical. A few of Noah's friends teased him, asking if he was ready to marry a creature from another world. Noah laughed along with them, but deep down, he couldn't help but feel a little anxious. He had no idea what to expect, but his curiosity was stronger than his fear. He was about to embark on a journey unlike anything he had ever known. Days passed, and the shuttle that would take Noah to the alien planet arrived. He boarded it with a mix of excitement and nervousness, his heart beating faster as the ship left Verdantia behind. The journey ahead was long, and Noah spent most of the time gazing out of the window, lost in thought. What would she look like, his bride? What kind of world would she come from? The possibilities swirled in his mind as the stars stretched out before him, vast and mysterious. As the shuttle approached its destination, Noah's nerves grew. He had no idea what awaited him on this distant alien world, but he was ready to find out. This was it, the moment when his life would change forever. And with that thought, Noah felt a strange sense of anticipation. He had no idea what to expect, but whatever it was, he was prepared to face it. And so, with a final deep breath, he prepared to meet his future. Noah's shuttle descended slowly toward the alien world of Lutheria, the planet that would be his new home for the next chapter of his life. The vastness of space stretched out around him as he gazed out of the small window, watching the stars fade into the distance. Lutheria was unlike Verdantia in every way. It wasn't a place of peaceful farming colonies and rolling hills. This was a world that hummed with an energy he had never experienced before, a place where the unknown awaited him at every turn. The shuttle landed with a soft thud, the quiet hum of its engines fading as the doors slowly opened. Noah stepped out onto the landing platform, his boots clanging against the metallic surface. The air was thick with the scent of alien flowers, and the sky above him shimmered with strange hues. It was nothing like the blue skies of Verdantia. Instead, the sky here was a blend of purples and pinks, with two suns hanging low on the horizon, casting an ethereal glow over the landscape. Noah took a deep breath, inhaling the unfamiliar air, and for the first time, he felt a wave of uncertainty wash over him. This wasn't Verdantia. This was a world filled with new rules, new customs, and most importantly, a new life. Waiting for him on the platform were the alien representatives who had been sent to guide him. Their faces were unlike anything Noah had ever seen. Their skin was translucent, shimmering faintly under the twin suns, and their eyes glowed with a soft, calming light. They didn't speak as he approached. Instead, they simply gestured for him to follow. Their silence was unsettling at first, but Noah quickly realized that it wasn't meant to be intimidating. It was just the way they communicated, calmly and without unnecessary words. As they led him through the alien city, Noah couldn't help but marvel at his surroundings. The architecture was unlike anything he had ever seen before. Tall, sleek buildings that seemed to reach toward the sky, their surfaces made of smooth, iridescent materials that glistened in the light. There were no streets, no vehicles, just wide open spaces filled with strange, floating platforms that moved silently through the air. The city seemed alive, as if it were breathing, shifting with the energy of the world itself. Noah felt small in this grand place, but at the same time, there was something oddly beautiful about it, a sense of peace that permeated everything, despite the unfamiliarity of it all. The representatives led him to a building at the heart of the city. It was a large, circular structure, surrounded by glowing plants and soft, cascading waterfalls. Noah felt a sense of awe as he entered, the cool air inside providing a welcome relief from the warmth of the planet. The walls of the building were lined with intricate carvings and symbols that Noah couldn't understand, but they seemed to hold some deeper meaning. He was guided through a series of chambers, each one more beautiful than the last, until they reached a small room that was simple yet elegant. The walls were made of transparent material, giving a clear view of the landscape outside, and in the center of the room stood a platform where the ceremony would take place. The representatives informed Noah that the ceremony would take place at dawn, and he would meet his bride to be only when the veil was lifted during the wedding. They explained that this was a sacred tradition, meant to ensure a genuine connection without preconceived notions. The idea was that by meeting on the wedding day, both parties would see each other as equals, without the biases that often come with first impressions. Noah listened, absorbing their words, though he couldn't help but feel a mixture of anticipation and nervousness. He had agreed to this, but now that he was here, he wasn't sure what to expect. What if he didn't like her? What if they didn't get along? Despite his doubts, Noah knew that he had made the right decision. He had come here for something more than just an arranged marriage. He had come here to learn, to experience the unknown, and to open his heart to the possibility of something greater than himself. He had spent years working alone on Verdantia, but now he was about to share his life with someone from another world. It was overwhelming, but it was also thrilling. This was his chance to make a difference, to build something that could change the future of both humanity and the alien species. The evening passed slowly as Noah tried to prepare himself for what was to come. He had never been a man of grand ceremonies or extravagant celebrations. On Verdantia, life had been simple, full of hard work, quiet moments, and small joys. But here, on Lutheria, everything was different. The customs were foreign, the people were unlike any he had ever known, and the stakes were higher than he had ever imagined. He spent hours in his room, pacing and thinking, wondering what his bride would be like. Would she be kind? Would they share common interests? Would they understand each other? As the night wore on, Noah found himself growing tired. The weight of everything was beginning to settle on his shoulders, and he couldn't shake the feeling that his life was about to change in ways he couldn't predict. Yet, despite the uncertainty, there was a sense of excitement that kept him moving forward. This was the beginning of something new, a journey that could lead to love, understanding, and peace between worlds. And as he lay down to sleep that night, Noah closed his eyes with a sense of hope in his heart. Whatever came next, he was ready to face it. The next morning, Noah woke early, his heart racing as the first light of dawn broke through the window. It was time. The ceremony would begin soon, and his bride would soon stand before him. Everything he had imagined, all the questions that had filled his mind, would soon be answered. There was no turning back now. Noah took a deep breath, steadied himself, and prepared for the moment that would change his life forever. This was the start of his new life on Lutheria, and whatever happened next, Noah knew that he was ready to face it. The morning sun rose over Lutheria, casting a warm glow across the alien landscape. Noah stood in the same room, his heart pounding with anticipation. The tranquil beauty of the planet's two suns rising together felt surreal, almost dreamlike, and yet it was the moment that would define his future. He stood before the altar, his eyes darting around the room, taking in every intricate detail. The soft sounds of distant music played in the background, a strange and calming melody he had never heard before, and the atmosphere felt thick with anticipation. Noah's gaze turned to the alien representatives, who stood quietly at the edges of the room. Their expressions were unreadable, but their presence was comforting. They were here to ensure the ceremony went smoothly, as it had in countless other weddings throughout Lutheria's history. But for Noah, this was unlike anything he had ever experienced. He had come to this moment with questions about his bride, about the future, about how his life would change after today. But now, standing here, he realized that the answers would come soon. This was the beginning of something completely unknown. As the time ticked by, Noah's mind wandered. He thought back to Verdantia, to the life he had left behind. The small farming colony, the quiet evenings, the simple joys of working the land. It had been a peaceful existence, but Noah had always felt there was something more out there, something he couldn't quite grasp. He had imagined this moment countless times, but now that it was here, he found himself filled with doubt. What if it didn't work out? What if this whole experience was a mistake? The weight of uncertainty pressed heavily on his chest. But just as those thoughts began to overwhelm him, the ceremony began. A soft, melodic voice echoed through the room, and the alien representatives stepped forward. Noah's attention snapped back to the present. This was it. The veil would soon be lifted, and he would meet the woman who would become his wife. The silence in the room deepened, as if the entire world was holding its breath. The air seemed to hum with energy as the representatives gestured for Noah to step forward. He felt his legs move almost of their own accord, and before he knew it, he was standing at the center of the room. The walls shimmered with soft, ethereal light, casting a peaceful glow over everything. It was a beautiful, calming setting, one that seemed to soften the edge of his anxiety. But it wasn't just the room or the ceremony. It was the mystery of what lay ahead. He had no idea what to expect, and that sense of the unknown both terrified and excited him. As he waited, Noah could hear the soft rustling of fabric, the sound of someone moving behind him. He turned slightly, but still he could not see his bride. The veil remained, an impenetrable barrier between them. Everything had been so carefully planned, so carefully orchestrated, and now it all came down to this moment. Noah had thought he would feel more nervous, more apprehensive, but instead there was an odd sense of calm that washed over him. Whatever happened next, he would face it. He had chosen this path, and he was ready to embrace whatever it held. Then, with a soft, gentle motion, the veil was lifted. For a moment, Noah didn't know what to think. He had imagined countless versions of this moment, but nothing could have prepared him for the reality of it. Standing before him was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. Her presence seemed to fill the entire room, and for a brief moment, Noah couldn't move. Her skin shimmered with a soft, silvery glow, like the surface of a calm ocean at dusk. Her eyes were enormous, deep, dark, and full of a mysterious light that seemed to hold centuries of untold stories. They glowed faintly, as if they held a knowledge no human could ever fully understand. She was tall, much taller than Noah had expected, and her features were strikingly different from anyone he had ever seen. Her face was delicate yet strong, with high cheekbones and a sharp, graceful jawline that made her look otherworldly. Her hair flowed like silver ribbons, cascading down her back, catching the light in a way that seemed almost magical. She was unlike anything he had ever imagined, and for a moment, Noah was lost in her beauty. But it wasn't just her appearance that took Noah's breath away. It was the feeling that flooded through him as their gazes met. It was as if, in that single instant, he could see the very essence of her being. There was a depth in her eyes, a wisdom that went far beyond the physical world. It was as though she had seen things no human ever could. Yet, despite the vastness of what she seemed to carry within her, there was a quiet peace about her that calmed Noah's racing heart. I don't know what to say," Noah whispered, his voice trembling slightly. He hadn't expected to feel so overwhelmed. It wasn't just her beauty. It was the connection that seemed to pulse between them, a force he couldn't explain but felt deeply. The woman, his bride, smiled gently, her lips curving upward in a soft expression of understanding. Her voice, when she spoke, was calm and melodic, like the sound of a distant wind. "You don't need to say anything," she replied softly. "We will learn to speak to each other in our own way." Her words, though simple, carried a weight of meaning that Noah couldn't fully grasp. She wasn't just speaking about language. She was speaking about something deeper, something beyond words. It was as though their connection was already forming, in ways that no human and alien connection had ever done before. With a final, slow step, she reached out, placing her hand gently on Noah's. The touch was warm, soft, and somehow familiar, like a feeling he had always known but never recognized. As their fingers met, Noah felt a surge of energy pass between them, a quiet understanding settling in his chest. This was real. This was happening. And in that moment, Noah realized that despite everything that had brought him here, the uncertainty, the doubts, the mysteries, he was ready. This was the beginning of something new, something that transcended anything he had ever imagined. Together, they stood there, silently acknowledging the bond that was forming between them. No words were needed. The connection was already there, deep and unspoken. Noah had come here to find peace, but what he found was something far greater, a love that would bridge worlds, that would defy the boundaries of species, and that would change the course of his life forever. This was only the beginning. Noah and Zarina walked side by side through the corridors of the alien palace, their footsteps echoing softly in the quiet air. The beauty of their surroundings still took Noah's breath away. The shimmering walls, the soft glow of the lights, and the strange, otherworldly designs that adorned every surface. Yet despite the stunning surroundings, a weight hung in the air. It wasn't the kind of peace Noah had expected. Something was wrong. The closer they walked, the more the unease settled in his chest. The first ship landed with a deafening crash, sending a shockwave through the ground. The curvy soldiers disembarked, their dark armor gleaming under the light of the moons. Their faces were obscured, but their presence was unmistakable, cold, calculated, and terrifying. They had come for Zarina, and Noah wasn't about to let them take her without a fight. As the curvy leader stepped forward, his voice boomed across the courtyard. "Zarina of the Vivari," he sneered, "we have come for you. Your people belong to us." Zarina stepped forward, her eyes narrowed with defiance. "I am no longer the last of the Vivari," she said, her voice strong, "and I will not bow to you." Noah stood beside her, his heart racing, but his resolve unshaken. This was no longer just a battle for survival, it was a battle for freedom. They would fight together, no matter the odds. And in that moment, Noah knew that they were not alone. They had each other, and that was more than enough. The tension in the air grew thick as the curvy advanced. The battle had begun, and Noah and Zarina were ready to face it together.